Hasina Haidari is one of the judges hoping to come to Canada. We spoke to her earlier this week from Athens.
I went to my office. When I got to office, my colleagues in office, male colleagues, told me, why you came to the office today? The situation is not good, so you have to leave fast. When I got the center of the city, people were saying that Taliban is in the city. I just was shocked, not believing the situation.
The situation was and still is dire for many, particularly women and girls. Their hard-won freedoms gained over the last 20 years are at risk, and not just their freedoms, their lives. And the very criminals Haidari and her colleagues helped put away were being set free.
I have sentenced many of them to jails. So they started calling me for revenge. I was fearing what will happen next. I just collect all my documents, my certificates, everything that I had in my home, and to my parents' house to secure me and my family.
In that scramble, some help from supporters around the world. The International Association of Women Judges and the International Bar Association worked to help get their colleagues out of Afghanistan. Donors from around the world, including Canada, donated millions to get the women and their families to safety. For Haidari, the journey was a treacherous one, 10 hours by bus, and that was just to get from Kabul to Mazar. Each Taliban checkpoint a potentially deadly risk. From Mazar, Haidari, her husband, and 2 sons flew to Greece. Greece granted them, along with the other judges and lawyers, temporary visas. Those were set to expire over Christmas. In late December, Canada agreed to help some of them resettle here. Haidari submitted her application.
I love Canada, and my family, even my small boy, always say, Mom, we should go to Canada. Canada has good economy. It is an open country for migrations and for refugees. They respect refugee.
Ottawa's response so far, she might be eligible to come to Canada. Her case is still pending.
Please speed our cases and issue us visa as soon as possible to get resettlement in Canada.
Well, more than 7,000 Afghans have arrived in Canada since the Taliban takeover. The federal government promised to resettle 40,000 people in all. Sean Fraser is the Minister of Immigration. He is in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Minister, thanks so much for making time for us. Glad to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, as always.
Well, you've heard Ms. Haidari's story now, and others like it, I'm sure. I saw you smiling as you listened to what she had to say. But can you give us and her a date on when she and her colleagues can expect to come to this country?
Look, I don't have a specific date of arrival for the different cohorts who will be coming to Canada, but I am so thrilled to share with those who are watching that just recently we have now approved for onward travel approximately 230 women judges who, as she pointed out, are potentially at risk of persecution should they go back to Afghanistan, not just because they are women, but because of their role as judges for putting the Taliban behind bars who've now been released. And the fear of persecution and retribution is very real. It's really exciting to see that this cohort of women judges will be coming to Canada. And I'm very pleased to be sitting in the chair that I currently hold at a time when we're able to welcome such inspirational stories to our country, which will be their new home.
So what, if you can't give us a date, let's get into the specifics a little bit. What does that approval mean? How quickly could it happen, just generally? Because we've heard a lot about the bureaucratic obstacles they've been facing and the frustrations as the clock ticks on their visas in Greece, their temporary visas. So what will the news you just told us about mean in practice?
So let me just draw into focus the process that gets us to here, and do my best to reassure those who've been approved to Canada that we are working with our partners to sort out details around temporary status in third countries for those awaiting onward travel. But one of the bureaucratic hurdles that you've raised is a really important stage in the process, which is the need to rely on referral partners. It's really important that the person who's serving as the minister doesn't start arbitrarily picking one group over another. The role that I hold is to set the criteria for those to come here and then facilitate a process that will get them here effectively. That process includes what are called referral partners, people who are experienced in assessing the vulnerability of different groups, processing them for security, and ultimately for onward travel. In this instance, we're working with partners around the world, including the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, human rights organizations, state partners from around the world who are experts in referring refugees. The referrals recently came through for this group, which led to their approval, and I do expect we'll be able to welcome them soon. We do have now 7,000, as you pointed out, that are here now, and more arriving every week. I don't anticipate it'll be a lengthy period of time for this particular cohort now that they have been approved for travel. And the moment that we do have a specific date for travel arrangements, we'll be letting those who are coming to Canada know as soon as possible.
And you'll let us know too, I'm sure. Are we talking weeks, months?
Look, I don't want to pin it down to a specific date until I know that flights are booked. People who hear me speak about their fate for resettlement in Canada hang on to every word that I say. As soon as we have specificity on dates, we'll be letting those folks know. We do hesitate sometimes to share the details in advance before their arrival because some of these folks do have security concerns with people who are still in Afghanistan, and we want to avoid the risk of people showing up at airports and taking photographs with the best of intentions that could communicate to folks back in Afghanistan who those people are and which family members may remain back in Afghanistan, because that's something I think we would all agree we simply don't want to have happen. So
now that this approval has come through, Minister, I mean, do they still have to fill out forms? The medical checks, vaccination requirements were an issue. What more do they have to do? Or do they just have to wait for that call to get on a plane now?
So my expectation is that we now have 230 people who will be coming forward to Canada. A lot of the details would have been sorted out through the application process already. The number that I have been given with our officials when I learned of the approval was that there will be 230 that will be resettled in Canada. And now it's simply a matter of arranging for their travel and facilitating their entry into Canada. The hard part is over for a lot of these folks, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming them very soon on their arrival to our country.
I do want to turn for a moment to the issue of Ukraine and Russia, sir. Is the Canadian government expecting or preparing for a potential influx of refugees from Ukraine should the situation there escalate?
We're monitoring the situation extremely closely and looking at what different options Canada will be able to exercise should the situation evolve and a potential further invasion into Ukraine by Russia. As it stands right now, we've had the opportunity to meet with our colleagues. I know the Prime Minister issued a statement confirming one of the meetings that we held to go over some of the options that we are considering right now. Although I hesitate to share specific details before official decisions are taken on the response, we are looking at making sure there are serious consequences should Russia conduct a further invasion into Ukraine.
I also want to ask you, Minister, about the awful case in Manitoba. People who live there say that this has happened before, people trying to get to this country and enduring very harsh and dangerous conditions to do that. So what is your government doing to, one, make sure people know about the dangers of doing this, and two, deterring the criminals who are doing this?
First of all, this is a heartbreaking story. All the details have not yet emerged. There's an investigation underway, and I personally intend to follow it closely to make sure that to the extent we can learn lessons to prevent this from happening again, that we do. My message to those who are involved, potentially with the smuggling of people across the border, this is a dangerous and illegal act, and there is no place for it in our country. But this event draws into focus for me the perils of irregular migration. These are not safe journeys. The elements in Canada are extremely dangerous, and we need to continue our work with the United States to modernize the Safe Third Country Agreement to ensure that we promote regular pathways to migration so we can facilitate the safe entry of families to come into Canada. This is a tragedy beyond words, and to see this kind of thing happen in our country is something that sticks with you. I'm going to continue my work with our counterparts in the United States to facilitate a modernization of the Safe Third Country Agreement so we can deter irregular migration and promote regular pathways for people to come safely and continue to be the most generous nation in the world when it comes to welcoming vulnerable refugees and people seeking humanitarian protection.
Our audience will hear what you're saying, certainly, but how do you make sure the message gets out to people around the world? I believe the victims in this case were from India. I know more details are still yet to come, as you say. But how do you get that message out, and what are you doing to make sure that people around the world are hearing this, that they don't fall prey to people making potentially deadly promises?
Look, it's getting a message out to the entire world about the importance of pursuing regular migration pathways is not an easy task, but it's something that we're deeply engaged in. We work through the presences that we have in regional offices. I'm personally engaged in many ways as well. Just recently, prior to the latest explosion of Omicron cases, I had the opportunity to attend as the chair of the support platform for an organization called MERPS, which focuses on migration in Central America, to specifically deliver the messages about Canada's welcoming nature and the need to promote regular migration throughout the Americas as a safe opportunity for people to enter a new country. This is the kind of thing that we've come to the table with funding in certain instances to help countries promote regular migration, making sure we're working with countries where we do have significant volumes of people to emigrate from one country into another, and of course, upholding the integrity of the process in our immigration system to make sure that people know that we are a welcoming nation. When it comes to welcoming refugees, we are by far and away the best in the world. In 2020, Canada welcomed 1/3 of the world's refugees, but we're able to do that because we have a process that has integrity, because there is a process that we follow. My message to those who may be listening today is that we want you to embrace the regular migration pathways that we're establishing so we can welcome more newcomers to Canada. But this is not an easy task. We need to continue to work with our regional offices to explain how you can immigrate to Canada legally, how you can follow the rules, and we need to enforce the processes in place to make sure that people know that you do need to follow the process if you want to resettle in Canada.
Minister, we will leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure as always. I really appreciate the opportunity for the conversation.
Take care.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.